Y'all give him a hand as he comes, y'all, please.
I'm gonna try to get through it. It's like he said, a lot of information. So I haven't been here in a while, but while I've been at work, I've just been working on this information. You might want to add the seat thing. I don't know. I moved it. Yeah, it's a lot of information, but we kind of went over some of this over the 2 classes before when Marab went to visit his family and to celebrate his mother. So some of it is a rehash, but it's actually bringing out now what I was able to do was show you what the prophets or the Old Testament was saying, and then show you what Messiah himself said or what the apostles said about him. So, and then I really want to get through it because the ending of it is leading into exactly what Mara was talking about Christian doctrine. And it's regarding the Messiah, the Most High, and the Trinity, but it's also the capstone to this lesson right here. And I feel like this is the best that the Most High has bestowed upon me, understanding of a word. And I can just think about how when I was new to this information, I used to think like, how do these people find this stuff? But, you know, it's the spirit of the Most High. And even today, when Marab brought out that 1 Peter 5, I've seen another precept that I didn't even have, and I'll just bring it out when we get to that part. So all praises. Thank you guys as well. And thank Marab for being studious, being diligent in his work and his walk as well to provide the avenue for brothers such as myself to come in.
We could bring it up in 2 parts.
Well, I have a stopping point if we don't get to the end of it. So I have 2, we'll see when we get there. So I do have a stopping point if we don't finish the part about the Trinity and put the capstone on it. So it's Yahawashai, Mashala, and Marah was bringing out a couple weeks back how Mashala is a word for wisdom. And he also brought out how wisdom is more than one word in the Hebrew. And he felt at that time that this word was better related. So today's Sharash Ibar or Hebrew roots is again wisdom. And then the Hebrew word that I used was kakamah, which I think majority of the Old Testament, I saw this word. And they want to say hakamah, but I was like, okay, so is it a ha or is it the ka? But I looked at the resources provided by Marah. Thank you for that. But that we can go back and see the ancient Hebrew characters, paleo, and they use ka. So I said, okay, well, I got to use the ka because the word I came up with the ha, I was like, oh, this is it. And then when I came to this, I was like, man, this is a little bit tougher. And I think that's why you were saying Mashallah related more to what we were bringing out. So I was like, well, he used this word for a reason. I'm like, Most High used this word for a reason, kakama. And of course, you guys can, if you got the boards or whatever, you can write the letters if you would like to see which characters you come up with. And then I'll go to the next screen. And I was thinking about this even until today. Like I do have an example up here, but I think I even have another example that it just came to me today when we came into class. And it just comes from knowing what the characters mean. Since we're still coming back to it, each character can mean like 8 to 10 different things. And we just have to find which context the word is being used in. So if anyone, if I see Joyce just grabbing her voice up.
No, I did mine on here.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So if you want to say what letters they are, anybody can go ahead. What you got, Zamaria?
Nah, I just don't have I was. Oh God. Oh, your pen didn't work?
No, he don't have the pen on there here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, here.
Yeah, I finished.
Okay, but you still need it, because that, he didn't have no, here, baby, take it.
Get them boys.
Do you want the pictogram? I mean,
Yeah, the pictures, just like what we would do.
I guess my struggle was knowing when to drop the A, but I did the tip wall
Okay, I saw
and
one.
then the ka, the palm, the ma as the water, and I did the ha, look, but I don't know if that's like all four.
I
All
did the same thing.
All praises,
I did the same
all
thing.
praises, and that's what the ancient text got as well. So all praises,
Hebrew.
all praises to the Most High for allowing us to start to learn and be able to decipher, how to use these characters. Now, with the first one, the tent wall, what are some of the definitions, and use all your resources, because I definitely did, to figure out what these were, what could that mean? And it's a meaning that is on that board, so you can cheat, but I don't have it up here because I just saw it today. I seen it online and I was like, I don't know, because we dealing with pagans, but I said, well, it kind of makes sense. But I said, I'm gonna just stick with, some of the Hebrew resources that I already had. But you can use that board. You can use what's on here. Just what is the representation of the tent wall?
Protection, the separate, to divide,
And I gave one, which I said it's a tent wall.
tent wall.
You said what, Miss Gina?
To separate, to divide.
To divide, that's one.
Yeah, it's just that they kind of got their own.
You can't look at their,
It don't match up perfectly.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Each character can mean more than one thing. And I've seen that in the application of it. And then one that they have on that board that I seen, they said this can mean life. And I was like, how can this be life? And then the one on there says eternity as well. And I was like, okay, now I didn't write this up here, but I wrote it in my phone because it makes sense. But I did have divide up here. Now the second one, the ka, what would that represent?
To hold.
You said to
hold. In the palm, or
palm.
To support.
Yeah.
Support, hold. I mean.
Anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In my hand.
Hand. That's one thing I had, but I erased it. But that's all those are correct. But if you go like deeper, like some of the stuff I got, I could share it in my phone. But I have it's bending, to bend. It can be to allow or to like open, to tame something, because you tame stuff with your hand. And then when you processing these letters, they are functions. They do stuff, or they have a purpose. So when you're bending something, it can also be to shape something or to mold something. And then another one, because this was getting kind of difficult when I saw the ka there to figure out what this is saying. But the Most High definitely, I believe he came through. So also it's like you can transform, because you can take, if I take, an item and I do something with my hands, I can transform something into something else. So then we have the ma. What would be some of the representations of the ma?
The flow, the rhythm.
Flow, rhythm, power.
My people.
People. Is some up there?
Water,
Water,
yeah.
blood. So in this case, we already said it, but I used it as the power of the Most High. And then the last character is the ha, which can represent life,
Most High, Rabbah.
and also revelation. So I used revealed. Anybody want to take a stab at it? It's not an easy one. I would say. But if anybody wants to take a stab at it, be my guest.
Well, my first thoughts when I seen the tent wall, because the tent wall is made out of animal skins, so that's covering protection. I think, like Regina was saying, and so I was like, okay, I'm covering. And then when I seen the hand, most times when I see the hand, I think of that prophecy or that scripture. I have engraved me in the palm of my hand. So I'm covering those of my hand who's flowing or who has the power of life. And that's what wisdom gives us. Wisdom gives us the power of life if we're flowing with the Most High.
I agree 100%. And that's why I wanted to ask these questions, because it's more than one function, which we've all learned, because the words can mean different things. And we just have to figure out the context, because we are coming from a Greco-Roman knowledge back to the Hebrew knowledge. So I appreciate that input, because that is definitely correct. And I came up with multiple ones in my head. I don't know if Naraya, are you on? Can you speak? Do you have any idea? And remember, the tent wall can be eternity as well, or eternal.
Yeah, because inside the tent wall is a family, it's a man's gene.
And I was thinking too, New Jerusalem is the walls with the 12 tribes where we will dwell for eternity. So I said, so that does, because I wasn't sure that fit when I first seen it until today. I was like, oh, this does fit. So I'll say the one I have up here, and then I'll say the one that I came up with today. But go ahead.
Let me ask you, how many times I guess it wouldn't make sense if you're trying to figure out what the pictographs mean. You can't go back to it multiple times to make a meaning up. So that,
for example, what?
For example, okay. In my mind, just reading is the power of Yah is being revealed through the dividing and the bending and molding of his people. If I went back to his people with the M being the water,
that's really good. That's almost what I got.
Yeah,
that's
I was thinking about changing it, bending the mind.
But I was like, can I go back to the water, the mind?
I mean, and yeah, because this is what I don't know. This is what these words I've learned. They are functionality. Yeah. So it's a complete sentence or paragraph of what this can be. So the way you was trying to process it, that's how I would try to process it. Like, what is this word doing? Like, what is the function of this word? So I came up with the dividing and molding of the power of Yah's spirit revealed, or I could have said the transforming of the Most High's power. Now, the reason why I'm saying the dividing and the transforming or molding of the Most High's power being revealed is because wisdom has more than one function. So what I mean by that is wisdom is revealed through reading of the word, but wisdom also is the commandments. Wisdom also is knowing how to treat your wife. Wisdom also is to know when it's time to speak and when it's time to be quiet. Wisdom is also showing us how to survive. Go ahead,
Naraya got his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Naraya. You see, now I wanted to when he had the stuff up here.
Yeah, because I was helping the guest, but I was gonna say the separation by the transforming through the power of the spirit. And I told Joyce this yesterday. Joyce, where does the kingdom start? In your mind. So Paul said, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Wisdom. So that's what came to my mind. I was waiting, but I was trying to help this guest as fast as I could.
I know. And that's definitely somewhat like, yeah, I would say that we've all been in the ballpark, I feel like I'm still learning, like more will be revealed, because the other thing that I came up with from today that dropped to me was with eternity, it would be the eternal hand of the power of Yah revealed. And the eternal hand of the power of Yah is Yahawashai.
I know. I love her. Because I was the eternity part for the tent wall, I'm gonna dwell in the tents of Jacob forever.
See, it's all coming out. This is what be happening to I'm speaking for myself. This is what happens to me on a daily basis. It happened earlier, and it's just like I just be doing whatever I'm doing, and then boom, something like a revelation like he just dropped to you, and you're just tripping out, and people don't even know what's going on. But exactly, like at first I didn't really see how eternity would fit or life would fit, but the more and more I saw it, it started making sense. And then I said, well, I don't got time to add it, but the eternal hand of the Most High's power revealed. And that makes sense because a form of wisdom would be through the Son, Yahawashai, and he's revealed as the orchestrator. He's the one that did all the bending and shaping of the people, the transforming of the earth. That's what the Most High Yahawashai did. So Most High, and through his son Yahawashai, did. So going into it, Mashala Yahawashai, wisdom Yahawashai. And I know I was saying that wisdom is Yahawashai, and that is still true. But my theory that I want to see, that I believe that we'll prove by the end of this, is just slightly different, but it all leads to the Father's spirit. The Father, it's the Father's power that's doing all of this. Not to try to, just try to make it a little bit simpler. It's the Father's power, but how he uses this power is what we'll see. And it's black and white by the time we get to the end of it. So the first one I want to bring out, I'll need somebody to help read or take turns, because I didn't want to put, it's already a lot. I only wanted to put the highlighted verses, that the key ones on the screen. But sometimes we need the context. So I just put the full scripture that I originally wrote when I was doing the precepts. So the first one, we read this before, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, 12 and 18. And I think I put my book out on the table for you, Mara, so you can, it's already highlighted.
It's like a coloring book.
Yeah, those colors mean stuff, like when I look at it. So it's probably like either purple or you'll see some yellow or something.
Wisdom of Solomon 6.
And it's got like little writings on the side too.
Come on.
Come on.
Right. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She preventeth them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his door.
Stop. So I got that verse on the screen. Whoso seeketh her, and y'all see how I scratched the her out. Whoso seeketh early shall have no great travail, for he shall find wisdom sitting at his doors. Keep going.
To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom. And whoso watches her, for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought.
18.
Go to 18. Okay. And love is the keeping of her laws.
And 17.
That's fine. You can because that's the key verse. 18 is the key verse.
And love is the keeping of her laws, and giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption.
Stop. So it says the two key verses I wanted to bring out, all of it's key. That's why I wanted to still read it. But the two key verses that I wanted to bring out is, whoso seeketh wisdom early shall have no great travail, for he shall find wisdom sitting at his doors. And love is the keeping of wisdom's commands, and giving heed to the commands is the assurance of incorruption. Incorruption leadeth to the Father, because at the end, he will dwell with us. So now I want to bring out, let's see. Yeah, I would say, I think it's mostly in order. It was trying to finish this thing.
Wow.
Revelation chapter 3, verse 20 through 22. And I think I have one or two verses from Revelation in here, but Revelation chapter 1 through 5 is the conclusion of this whole class and about the leading into Marah's teachings going forward. But I had to put a couple of these in here, and anyone could pick it up. Go ahead.
Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me.
Stop right there. So let's go back real quick. It said, Wisdom of Solomon said, whosoever seeketh wisdom shall find wisdom sitting at his doors. Revelation, the Messiah says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. So the Messiah is saying, I will be sitting at your door and he will knock if you hear his voice. But to hear his voice, you have to seek him. So Wisdom of Solomon said that was attributed to wisdom, but Revelation is saying the same language about the Messiah standing at the door and knock. And it's going to be a little bit more about this door as well going forth. But remember, wisdom said about keeping wisdom's laws. So we'll bring up John 14, and these are on the screen, so we don't have to go to it. But you're supposed to keep wisdom's laws, but the Messiah said, if you love me, keep my commandments. John 14:14 and John 14:21. 21 says, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. And I wanted to use that verse because Marah, that's one of his favorite verses, because there were a few more that I could use that says the same thing. But wisdom just mentioned about keeping her laws, quote unquote, and then the Messiah mentions about keeping his commandments.
Good stuff.
The water, but yeah. All right, so then the next one is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. And I think I got the important verses on the screen, so I'll just read these just for the sake of just to keep it moving. It says, for wisdom is the worker of all things. That's what we was talking about, molding, shaping, bending. And for it is in wisdom an understanding spirit, a holy spirit, one holy, a manifold spirit, a subtle spirit, lively, clear, undefiled, plain, and not subject to hurt. And it says a few more things, but that was the key part. Verse 25 says, for wisdom is the breath of the power of Yah.
Wow.
And a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore, no defiled thing can fall into wisdom. Verse 26, for wisdom is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of Yahweh, and the image of his goodness. Verse 27, and being but one, wisdom can do all things and remaineth in itself. Wisdom maketh all things new, and in all ages entering into holy souls. Wisdom maketh them friends of Yahweh and prophets. For Yah loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom. Let's see. Did I have? Yeah, I mean, just going back. John 14:21 says, he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him. And then you go back to what Sirach was saying, Wisdom of Solomon was saying. It says, the Father, Yah, loveth none but him that dwelleth with wisdom.
What was that? What we got? Wisdom 7 and what?
7, and then 22 through 23, and then 25 through 30. But I just, on the screen, I just stopped at 28.
Because this goes Wisdom of Solomon 7, chapter 7, verse 26.
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that again?
For wisdom is the brightness of the everlasting light, the unspotted mirror of the power of Yah, the image of his goodness.
So the Christian church who doesn't read from these books, but Wisdom of Solomon is marrying to Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4, when Hamashiach starts his so-called ministry after baptism, it says, Matthew 4:13, and leaving Nazareth, he came and dwelt in Capernaum, which is upon the sea coast, in the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali, two Israelite patriarchs, right? Verse 14, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, by the way of the sea beyond Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles, the people which sat in darkness saw a great light.
These books marry up.
The people who sat in darkness saw a great light, the brightness of the everlasting light. Thank you for that precept. And then we have up here Colossians. So let me, it's so great. It says, the unspotted mirror of the power of Yah, the image of his goodness. Colossians 1, verse 15 through 17.
Hold on.
And once we finish this, I do have all this typed up on a Word document.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, could you send it?
That's what I be doing at Word when I get a chance.
Consider it live.
You say it all the time.
Or they come by there.
You say anything about nobody having the Bible out.
No, they don't. They don't.
Where we at?
Colossians 1 and 15.
Come, Shabbat.
Did you want to read a few verses before, just for a little context? You can go, Zamaria.
Start at 15, right?
What's before? Does anything before it make sense?
Yeah, we can start at 14.
All right, go ahead.
In whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sin.
So that's Christ, Yahawashai,
who is the image of the invisible Yahweh, the firstborn of every creature.
So Wisdom of Solomon said that wisdom was the everlasting light, the image of the power of the Most High. Colossians is saying that Messiah is the image of the invisible Elohim. I wrote God up there just for, the Christians, but the firstborn of every creature. And then 16,
for by him were all things created.
Stop right there. So before that, it said wisdom created all things. Then keep going.
That are in heaven and that are in the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers, all things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who was the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence.
That's good. That was it. But yeah, that was a good verse as well. So then we go to 2 Corinthians, I believe this is. I didn't write it on there. I wrote just Corinthians 4. But I got that one on the screen, but y'all can still turn to it and mark it. It's just one verse. I think it's 2 Corinthians 4:4. And it says, in whom the God of this world have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious Basar of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine unto them. So the same characteristics, the everlasting light that was described from wisdom, the image of the power of the Most High, is saying here that Hamashiach is the image of the power of the Most High.
This too is this is like a 2-for-1, because you already chopping at the Trinity.
That's what I'm saying.
If
That's what I'm getting to.
Hamashiach, the image of God, that means he's inferior because he's the image of God. So all these, like, you know, I've been listening to these doctor seminaries, and like I said, he said Christ is Yahweh. I'm like, you don't understand what's going on. So already you're tearing down the Trinity with these verses.
Con, and that's what I started seeing. And then, like I said, that capstone at the end is just, it's over. And there is a little sneaky little precept in here about it as well. So going on, continue with the image of the power of Yah, John 16, verse 27 and 28. And they're on the screen as well. And they just get straight to the point. I'll read these, but definitely turn so you can mark it in your Bibles as well. It says, for the Father himself loveth you because you have loveth me. And that's what wisdom of Solomon was saying. The Father loves those who love wisdom. And then here in the New so-called Testament, that the Father himself says, or it says, for the Father himself loveth you because you have loved me, meaning the Messiah, the Son, and have believed that I came out from Yah. And then he comes and speaks it plainly, verse 28, I came forth from the Father and am come into the world. Again, I leave the world and go to the Father.
So this is in the New Testament. So yeah, I don't get how they get. I don't get it.
It's a spirit on them.
I don't get it.
That's what it just said
He's telling you, I'm coming from this man, but you're going to make this man equal to the Father. He's telling you I'm not.
Right.
It's a spirit on these people.
They're not reading it with understanding.
that, and someone told us what to believe first.
Yes.
So we're trying to fit the scripture into what we were told to believe versus letting the scripture speak for itself. So we're thinking, well, he is the Father because someone told us that. So when we read it, we're saying, well, see, you got to understand what this is actually saying versus have no bias toward either side and then let it speak for itself. And here Corinthians again says, in whom the God of this world have blinded their minds. So, that has something to do with it as well. And that verse, I might have to just bring it back one more time just because there's so many parts to it. He said, wisdom maketh them friends of Yahweh. So now that's the point that I want to talk about for like one slide. But it says in John 15, 14 and 15, he says, you are my friends. And then it's, if you do whatsoever I command you. So not just, you're my friends and you can just do whatever you want, and then it's still all good. And then it says, henceforth, I call you not servants, for the servant know not what the master doeth, but I have called you friends, for all the things that I've heard of my Father. So his word is coming from his Father. He has made them known to us. Go ahead, Mara.
Abishai has something.
Go ahead, Abishai.
Oh yeah, two things real quick. One from a little back further, but speaking to what you were talking about right now, or everybody's saying like, oh man, they under these spirits. Well, yeah, again, that's the Jubilees 15, you know. But our people are under those spirits. Anything outside of our nation and our land, we know from that Jubilees 15 that those everybody else is under those spirits. So us being here in this country, out of our place, our people is under that spirit of Christianity, which is Greco-Roman. So that's not a spirit of Yah. But to go back to what you brought out in Wisdom of Solomon, is going back to 6 verse 18. I was making a connection. It says heed her laws is the assurance of incorruption. And that incorruption reminded me of, well, what was talked about Yahawashai in Acts 13:37. It says, but he whom God raised again saw no corruption.
100%. That's the point. 100%. That's the point. So us through wisdom has the assurance, not a maybe.
Yeah.
The assurance of incorruption, which is everlasting life. And we'll just keep seeing, you're going to see these things over and over and over again. And it's like multiple times. Some of them are saying the same thing as when I was running into it. So then getting back into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8, 4, verse 4, and then verse 13. And it says,
Hold on, let me get where you at?
back to Wisdom of Solomon, but chapter 8, and then verse 4, and then verse 13.
Shabbat.
Verse 4 says, wisdom is privy to the mysteries of the knowledge of Yahweh, and a lover of his works. Moreover, by the means of wisdom, I shall obtain immortality. That's what we was just talking about. And leave behind me an everlasting memorial to them that come after me. So now we're going to go through and see what the Messiah said. John 5 and verse 20. And it's on the screen. Shema. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things, the mysteries of Yah, that himself doeth, and will show him, the Son, greater works than these, so that we may marvel. So wisdom just was saying that, Solomon was saying that wisdom is privy to the mysteries and the knowledge of Yahweh. The Messiah says that the Father made known to him the knowledge of the Father, so that he can show us that we may marvel at the Son, but know that the power is coming from the Father. Now, verse 13 says that we shall obtain immortality by wisdom. But then the Messiah is on the screen. John 6 and 47 says, black and white, he that believeth on me will have everlasting life. So these correlations between wisdom and the Messiah is just going hand in hand and hand in hand. And just like Marah, like how we talk about our brother Benaiah Israel, but wait, there's more.
Bring it out.
And it's going at a good pace, so we probably get through it. So this brother Zamaria, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, and I tried to put the important ones on the screen, and some of these was just no getting around it. It was just wordy.
Take your time, Pastor.
But I'm gonna have Brother Zamaria go to it. And it seemed like everybody's already got their apocryphas turned. I see Sister Joyce's. She is. Oh, she gonna be strong. She got her bookmarks, and oh yeah, she in there now. She in there now. Go ahead, brother.
All right. Give me wisdom that sitteth by thy throne.
So wisdom, and you can stop right there. Wisdom is sitting by the throne. Go ahead.
And reject me not from among thy children. For I, thy servant and son of thine handmaid, am a feeble person, and of a short time, and too young for the understanding of judgment and laws. For though a man be never so perfect among the children of men, yet if thy wisdom be not with him, he shall be nothing regarded. Thou hast chosen me to be a king of thy people and a judge of thy sons and daughters. Thou hast commanded me to build a temple upon thy holy mount and an altar in the city wherein thou dwellest, a resemblance of the holy tabernacle which thou hast prepared from the beginning. And wisdom was with thee.
Wisdom was with thee,
which knoweth thy works, and was present when thou madest the world
from the beginning,
and knew what was acceptable in thy sight, and right in thy commandments. O send her out of thy holy heavens, and from the throne of thy glory, that being present, she may labor with me, that I may know what is pleasing unto thee. For she knoweth and understandeth all things, and she shall lead me soberly in my doings, and preserve me in her power.
Skip down to 18.
For so the ways of them which lived on earth were reformed, and men were taught the things that are pleasing unto thee, and were saved through wisdom.
Saved through wisdom.
Not grace.
Wow. Saved through wisdom. And also here Solomon is speaking. He's saying, send wisdom out of the throne from heaven. So he knows where this wisdom is coming from. But wait, just keep this in mind. I think somebody's trying to get in. Just keep it in mind that that wisdom is coming from the throne of the Most High.
But notice too, in this chapter, Wisdom of Solomon 9, okay, like you said, the capstone is verse 18, was saved through wisdom, right? But then when you go back up, where you read it at, it's in action, it's in it's action words, it's verbs. Where was it at? They were doing this, they were reformed.
Oh yeah.
The people of the earth were reformed, meaning they had to do something.
To be changed.
To be changed. It wasn't no living by grace and I believe, and the Spirit is guiding me. No. Wisdom showed us what to do. It's an action.
That's why I said it's a function.
Verse 12, was it?
Was it verse 12?
So shall my works be acceptable.
There you go. You got everything highlighted.
That's why I had to color, because all of it has a point somewhere. That's why I try to write like something, either it's the Messiah, but that verse about the works is one that I was saying that I sent you that time, where I was saying, he was saying that because I might do that next, judge by works as a teaching, but he was saying so that my works be acceptable. And I was like, well, that means that you got to do something, like your works could not be acceptable to them. So that's when I was sending that to you. So then a part of the revelation I had to bring in here, chapter 5 and 6, which like I said, this is at the end of the teaching, but it goes right along with this. Revelation chapter 5, verse 6, and you'll get here later, so you really don't have to mark it, but because we're gonna go over it again. He says, and I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, in the middle of the throne is the Most High's throne, and of the four beasts, And in the middle of the elders, 24 elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Yah sent forth into all the earth. And we're going to talk about these 7 spirits of Yah as we go along, as we get to the end. But it said that wisdom came out from the throne. Messiah says it says the Messiah is standing in the middle of the throne.
All these Hebrews just smacking you in the face.
We're going to go to the next point about Washmath, the Exodus. And this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, 12 through 20. And Zamarian, you can read all 12 through 20. And I got the key verses. They all are key, but they try to drive the point home on the screen. Shema, yeah.
Shemai.
She defended him from his enemies and kept him safe from those that lay in wait. And in a sore conflict, she gave him the victory, that he might know that godliness is stronger than all. When the righteousness was sold, she forsook him not, but delivered him from sin. She went down with him into the pit and left him not in bonds till she brought him the scepter of kingdom and power against those that oppressed him. As for them that had accused him, she showed them to be liars and gave him perpetual glory. She delivered the righteous people and blameless seed from the nation that oppressed them. She entered into the soul of the servant of Yahweh and withstood dreadful kings in wonders and signs. Render to the righteous a reward of their labors.
Render to the righteous a reward. Keep going.
Of their labors, guided them in a marvelous way, and was unto them for a cover by day and a light of stars in the night season. Brought them through the Red Sea and led them through much water. But she drowned their enemies and cast them up out of the bottom of the deep.
And verse 20.
Therefore the righteous spoiled the ungodly and praised the holy name of Yahweh and magnified with one accord thine hand that fought for them.
This is like, how can this be wisdom? And wisdom is an inanimate object. Like, this is a dead giveaway. It's talking about Hamashiach.
Khan, I mean, I would agree. And key verses I want to point out was unto them a cover by day, a light of stars by night, brought them through the Red Sea, through much water, and drowned their enemies up out of the bottom of the deep. Let's see what Uncle Shawal had to say about this same situation. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1 through 4. It is on the screen, and Shema, when you're ready.
In verse 4. Come on.
Go ahead. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of the spiritual rock that followed them. And that rock was Yahawashai.
That rock was Hamashiach, Yahawashai.
But with many of them, Yahweh was not well pleased.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was it. That was fast. I'm sorry. That was it. He said how all our fathers were under the cloud that passed through the Red Sea, and something on the way to learning something, and were all baptized unto Masha or Moses in the cloud, and they all ate the same spiritual meat and all drank the same spiritual drink, and the spiritual of that spiritual rock which followed them, and that rock was Hamashiach. So wisdom is described by Solomon as the thing that led us through the sea, and then Shawal is letting us know that that spirit was the Messiah, Hamashiach. I want to touch on this because this is going to go into, this has that precept about who's on the throne. And it's Sirach 1, and all the key verses are on the screen. It says, well, make sure y'all at least turn to it. Sirach 1. Let me know, Shema, when you're ready. It's Ecclesiasticus. So it's right after Wisdom of Solomon, because I think we pretty much done with Wisdom of Solomon now. Yeah, so Sirach 1, I'll just read it real quick. All wisdom coming from Yahweh. That's the point that Marah was trying to make. Wisdom is from Yahweh, then how can it be a she? And is with him forever. Wisdom have been created before all things, Colossians 1, and understanding of prudence from everlasting. The word of Yah Most High is the fountain of wisdom, and wisdom's ways are everlasting commandments. To whom have the knowledge of wisdom been revealed, or whom have known wisdom's wise counsels? Unto whom have the knowledge of wisdom been made manifest, and who have understood wisdom's great experience? See, not everybody is wisdom going to be manifested to. And then verse 8, something on the way to learning something. There's three wise and greatly to be feared sitting on the throne.
One.
There is one wise and greatly to be feared.
You gotta highlight that. Let them know what we're saying.
Yahweh is sitting upon his throne. And this is the conclusion, but I had to just put this in there, learning something on the way to learning something. The conclusion of this is going to bring this out more. There is one wise, and then even Messiah, I didn't put this in here. The Messiah said there is none good, but one or three.
One.
There is one wise and greatly to be feared, Yahweh sitting upon his throne. It don't even say their throne. His throne. And when you see how this thing comes together in here, I believe with the documents, it makes so much sense. It's really not even confusing at all. So stand in Sirach chapter 24. This one is a really good one, and it's definitely marked in that one that I got over there, Marah. Chapter 24, and I'll let you go. Zamaria verse 1 through 12, and then after 12, skip down to 17.
Shema.
Wisdom shall praise herself, and my bad, I don't know how to replace the she on herself, but
That's fine.
wisdom shall praise herself and shall glory in the midst of her people. In the congregation of the Most High shall she open her mouth and triumph before his power.
That's Psalms 22.
I came out of the mouth of the Most High.
I came out of the mouth of the Most High
and covered the earth as a cloud.
And covered the earth as a cloud.
I dwelt in high places, and my throne is in a cloudy pillar. I alone compassed the circuit of heaven and walked in the bottom of the deep. In the ways of the sea and in all the earth and in every people and nation, I got a possession. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide? So the creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he hath made me cause by a tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel.
Let thy dwelling, wisdoms, be in Jacob, and the inheritance in the whole world.
Israel.
Everybody.
Israel.
It's very possessive in the Bible. And then it says, verse 9,
he created me from the beginning, before the world, and I shall never fail. In the holy tabernacle I served before him, and so was I established in Zion.
Order of Melchizedek, Malak Zadok. Continue.
Likewise, in the beloved city, he gave me rest, and in Jerusalem was my power. And I took root in an honorable people.
An honorable people, that's us.
Even in the portion of Yahweh's inheritance.
Come on.
Psalms 147, is that correct?
Come on.
You should skip down 17.
Skip down to, well, yeah, read verse 17, and then I don't even have that up here, but you can read it because I had it written down.
As the vine brought I forth pleasant savor, and my flowers are the fruit of honor and riches. I am the mother of fair love and fear and knowledge, and the hope and the holy hope. I therefore, being eternal, am given to all my children, which are named of him.
Named of
Him.
Yasha Allah, Shamariah, Zamariah, Abijah. What verse are you on?
19.
All right, 21.
All right. They that eat me shall yet be hungry, and they that drink me shall yet be thirsty. He that obeyeth me shall never be confounded, and they that work by me shall not do amiss.
So hold your thought on that. I think I had that in there later. Hold your thought on they that eat me shall yet be hungry. When it says they shall yet be, that means not be. So again, that was a lot of verses, but let me go back.
I got something.
Go ahead.
So when he read Sirach 24, and when he got to verse, where's it at? I just want to marry it up to the so-called Masoretic text, just to show people why we read from this. Where's the part about in the congregation? What was created beginning, lifeline.
Verse 2.
That's verse 2.
It's on the screen too.
Oh, come. So Sirach 24 and 2 in the congregation of the Most High said, shall she open her mouth and triumph before the power. You can go right to Psalms 22. So people who say the apocrypha is not canonized and all that stuff. Psalms 22, and the whole chapter is talking about, it's a messianic chapter. But just to get to the point, Psalms 22 and verse 25. My praise shall be of thee in the great congregation. I will pay my vows before them that fear him. And then it continues on. It's marrying Sirach 24 almost word for word. So for those Christians or people doing the research, who their pastors in Christianity said, oh, the apocryphal books are not canonized, which is a Roman legal term, these books are marrying your so-called KJV almost word for word. So I just want to add that.
Absolutely.
All